A single compliment can change everything, not just in the way it sounds, but in the way it enters the mind and lingers in the body like an echo that refuses to fade. When a man speaks certain words in a certain tone, a woman doesn't just hear them, she feels them. She replays them in her head, over and over, until they become part of how she sees herself. That's the dark power of a compliment. It's not about saying something nice. It's about planting a thought, a seed, that grows into attraction, craving, and sometimes obsession. Most men throw compliments like coins into a fountain, hoping one lands right. But the rare man who knows how to use them with precision becomes unforgettable. The right words at the right time do not just boost her confidence, they lock her attention, create tension, and pull her deeper without her even noticing. This is not about trickery, it's about psychology, about understanding what makes the human heart respond. If one sentence can slip past defenses and touch the core of desire, then it's not just flattery, it's power. And once you understand it, you'll never see compliments the same way again. If you want to understand how a single compliment can create endless desire, stay with me until the end. The secret language of compliments. Most men think a compliment is just a simple sentence. You look nice today. I like your hair. That dress is beautiful. On the surface, these sound fine. They are polite, harmless, and even kind. But the truth is, most of these compliments disappear as quickly as they are spoken. They do not leave a mark. Why? Because they are surface-level words that almost anyone could say. They lack weight, depth, and precision. But when a man understands the secret language of compliments, everything changes. A compliment is not about the words themselves, it's about how they connect with the deeper part of someone's identity. If the words feel like they were said only for her, in a way no one else has noticed before, they become unforgettable. It's not just, you look pretty, it's, the way your eyes light up when you laugh could stop a room. See the difference? The first is generic. The second touches something unique. It tells her you see her in a way others don't. That is the seed of desire. Here's the psychological twist. Compliments work like mirrors. Most people are unsure about how they appear to others. They carry insecurities, doubts, and unanswered questions. When a compliment reflects back an image that makes her feel not only seen, but valued, it fills a hidden need. It's not just kindness, it's validation at the deepest level. And validation, when it feels rare, is addictive. But let's go darker. Compliments can bypass the rational brain. They slide into memory like a song lyric you can't stop humming. Even if she doubts them later, the feeling they created lingers. A single sentence can shape how she sees herself when she looks in the mirror. If your words gave her a version of herself she likes more, she begins to link that feeling to you. Suddenly, it's not just a compliment. It's an anchor tying her emotion to your presence. Think of it this way, anyone can say something nice, but only a few can say something that sticks to the soul. The secret is to notice what others ignore. To compliment not just beauty, but movement, energy, mood, even silence. The way you listen makes me feel like my words matter. That is not about appearance. That is about essence. And essence is what builds desire. This is why most compliments fail. They are too common, too predictable, too easy to forget. But when a man speaks in the hidden language of depth and detail, his words cut through noise and settle into memory. She doesn't just hear them, she replays them. And every replay grows stronger, calmer. The psychological trigger behind desire. When a man gives the right compliment, something unusual happens inside a woman's mind. It is not just about liking their words, it is about the way her brain processes them. You see, the human brain is wired to respond to recognition. We crave being seen for who we are, not just for what we show on the surface. And when that craving is touched, desire begins to grow. Psychologists explain that compliments activate reward centers in the brain. Dopamine, their feel-good chemical, is released. This is the same chemical that makes people addicted to social media likes, winning a game, or tasting chocolate. A carefully chosen compliment can spark the same addictive loop. It creates a rush of pleasure that she unconsciously links to the person who gave it. Over time, this link becomes stronger, almost like a mental pathway where his presence equals positive emotion. But here's the darker side. Not all compliments are equal. A man who only praises appearance gives her what she has already heard 100 times. Yes, it may feel good in the moment, but it fades fast. However, when the compliment goes deeper, when it speaks to her intelligence, her inner strength, or even a subtle trait she thought no one noticed, it creates shock value. She thinks, how did he see that? That question keeps her thinking of him long after he is gone. Real-life examples show how powerful this can be. A woman may forget a man who said, "You're pretty," but she will remember the one who told her, you have this calm energy that makes me feel safe. Why? Because beauty is common, but emotional impact is rare. What is rare always carries more value. There's also another psychological trick at play: contrast. If most people give shallow compliments, and one man gives one that feels deeply personal, he stands out. The brain naturally pays more attention to what is different, unusual, or surprising. That is why one well-placed compliment can have more impact than 100 generic ones. Now think about this: desire is not built in grand gestures. It grows in small, invisible moments that feel special. A compliment is one of those moments. It is like planting a seed. She may not show a big reaction on the outside, but inside, a part of her begins to associate him with a rare feeling. That feeling, over time, can grow into attraction. Here's the disturbing truth: most women are surrounded by empty words. Compliments from strangers, comments on social media, passing remarks from friends. But very few of those words carry depth. When a man breaks that pattern, his compliment is not just another sound, it becomes a memory. And memories, once tied to emotion, are very hard to erase. So the question becomes, how can one compliment hold such power? The answer lies in what comes next: the hidden emotional needs that most women carry, often without showing them to the world, the emotional need that makes a compliment irresistible. Every human being carries invisible wounds. For women, these wounds often come from years of being judged, compared, or overlooked. Society trains them to believe their value is tied to beauty, to how they look in the mirror, or how others see them. And while many women learn to smile through it, deep inside there is always a quiet hunger to be seen as more than just a face. This is where the power of a man's compliment comes in. It is not about words alone, it is about filling a silent need she carries but rarely speaks of. When a man says something that touches that hidden part of her, it can feel like a form of healing. She may not even realize why it matters so much, but her emotions respond before her logic does. Think about it: a woman may hear compliments about her beauty every single day. But when someone notices her resilience, her patience, or the way her laughter makes others feel comfortable, it hits different. It is not just surface validation, it is recognition of her essence. And recognition is one of the deepest human desires. Psychologists often talk about emotional starvation. This happens when someone never gets the kind of validation their heart truly longs for. Over time, they stop expecting it, and they bury the desire. But the hunger doesn't vanish. It just hides in silence, waiting for the right trigger. That trigger can sometimes be one sentence, spoken at the right time, by the right person. Take this example: a woman grows up in an environment where no one praises her intelligence. She is seen as average, overlooked in conversations. Then one day, a man tells her, "You have a sharp way of seeing things that others miss." For her, this is not just a compliment, it is a revelation. It touches the wound of being unseen and replaces it with a spark of recognition. That spark can become unforgettable. There is also the concept of mirroring. When someone describes us in a way that matches the image we secretly hope to be, we feel a powerful bond with them. So if a woman wants to be known as strong, kind, or unique, and a man highlights exactly that, she feels understood. And being understood is often more attractive than being admired. But here's the darker edge: this emotional need can make a woman vulnerable. The compliment doesn't just make her feel good, it makes her crave more. Once she links a man to that rare feeling of recognition, her mind starts seeking his presence again. It becomes less about the words and more about the emotional drug hidden inside them. Desire, then, is not about logic. It is about emotion filling a hidden gap. And one well-placed compliment has the power to do exactly that, to uncover the hunger she doesn't even admit she has, and to feed it just enough to keep her wanting more. Now the question is, what happens when this recognition creates a loop? When her mind begins to return, again and again, to the man who gave it. The loop of desire and obsession. When a woman receives a compliment that touches her at the core, her mind doesn't just store the words, it replays them. This replay creates what psychologists call an emotional loop. Each time she remembers that moment, her brain releases small waves of dopamine, the same chemical linked to pleasure and reward. The man's voice, his expression, even the timing of the compliment, all become tied to this release. In simple terms, he becomes associated with her sense of emotional satisfaction. This is where things turn darker. Because the more she recalls the compliment, the more her mind attaches significance to the man who said it. He is no longer just another person in her life, he becomes the source of an experience that feels rare. Even if she tries to dismiss it logically, her emotions keep pulling her back. Logic tells her, it was just a sentence. But emotion whispers, no one else has made you feel this way. And emotion usually wins. Real-life cases show how powerful this loop can be. Think of the girl who has always been praised for her looks but never for her intelligence. When a man finally notices her mind, she may start thinking about him at night, wondering why his words linger. Or the woman who feels invisible in a crowd but suddenly hears, I see how you carry yourself, it's graceful. That moment plants itself in her memory, repeating again and again, until it shapes her attraction. The loop also works because of scarcity. Compliments that are common lose power quickly. But compliments that feel rare, those that touch something deep, create the sense of uniqueness. She begins to feel that the man sees her in a way others cannot. This illusion of exclusivity strengthens the loop even more. And there is something else at play, anticipation. After receiving one powerful compliment, a woman often begins to wait for the next one. This waiting keeps her emotionally hooked, like someone addicted to a small dose of a drug. She checks his reactions, wonders if he still notices her, and imagines what he might say next. This silent craving deepens desire without her fully realizing it. What makes this loop even more dangerous is how it reshapes memory. Over time, the brain can exaggerate the weight of that compliment, making it seem more meaningful than it actually was. She might recall not just the words but an entire atmosphere around them, the way he looked at her, the warmth in his tone, the setting they were in. Her mind begins to paint the memory larger than life. This is how obsession starts, not through constant attention, but through one seed planted in the right soil. That seed grows quietly, fueled by her need for recognition, scarcity, and anticipation. And the man who planted it becomes harder to forget. The real question now is, once the loop has begun, what hidden psychological forces keep it alive, turning desire into something that feels almost unbreakable? The lasting impact of one compliment. When a compliment digs deep enough, it doesn't simply fade with time, it imprints itself on a woman's identity. The words may have taken seconds to speak, but they can echo for years. What makes this so powerful is that the human brain is wired to remember emotional experiences far more strongly than neutral ones. A small moment of validation can feel like a spotlight on the parts of herself she doubts the most. This is why a single compliment can shape attraction long after the moment has passed. Each time she faces insecurity or loneliness, her memory replays that phrase like a lifeline. It becomes a reference point, proof that at least one person saw her, valued her, and reached into the hidden part of her being. The man who gave her that feeling gains an almost permanent place in her emotional landscape. Over time, this memory can even guide her choices. She may lean closer in conversations, respond more warmly to his presence, or compare other men to the one who spoke those words. The compliment begins to define what she now seeks, not just physical presence, but emotional recognition. It silently sets a standard that others fail to meet. What's darker is how this memory can distort. In some cases, she might build an image of the man that is larger than reality. He may not have intended the words with such depth, yet her mind inflates them, weaving stories around him. He becomes not only the man who noticed her but the one who unlocked a part of her that others ignored. The danger lies here. Desire built on memory often feels more powerful than desire built on reality. Case studies in psychology often show that people can become fixated on the smallest gestures, replaying them endlessly. One compliment about her voice might make her hear his approval each time she speaks. One remark about her strength might make her push harder just to be noticed again. These invisible strings tie her behavior back to him, whether she realizes it or not. But there's another layer, scarcity. If no one else manages to see her in the same way, the compliment grows even stronger over time. It transforms into something rare, something she secretly treasures, and the man who gave it becomes someone she cannot easily replace. So, what begins as a few simple words can evolve into lasting desire, emotional dependency, or even obsession. The compliment doesn't just affect her in the moment, it changes how she sees herself and how she sees him. It shifts the balance of attraction, sometimes forever. This is the hidden weight of words. A single compliment can be the spark that ignites endless desire, not because of what was said, but because of how it made her feel. And feelings, once awakened, are not easily silenced.